Hi, everyone, and welcome to Creators and Coffee. I'm your host, Erica, CEO and founder of Autofluencer. And joining me today is my dear friend. I'm super excited to have him on, Nick Caloroso. He is the national sales manager for Morimoto Lighting and also the former chairman of the Future Leader Network through SEMA. So super excited to have you on, Nick. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here. Always nice to talk to a friend.
One thing I love about you, Nick, is obviously your passion for the industry, right? Being involved in FLN or that Future Leader Network through SEMA. And if you are, what is it, under 40 now?
Yes. Yeah.
Under 40, darn, miss the cut. But if you are under 40, please check it out. It's a great way to get involved in the industry. And I know you've made a lot of friends through it. And we met at an FLN event at PRI. You can actually go to their events if you are over 40, just FYI, in case you're wondering. But you're certainly passionate. You have a flair for the creator yourself. If anybody follows Nick on his Facebook, you see all of his pictures of cars and his musings. He's on his way to Monterey just a couple days after we speak. But what I so impressed with the way you think, Nick, and what you've seen in your career working at multiple brands, multiple manufacturers, is the way brands either do a great job at maximizing partnerships with content creators, or they really just drop the ball and leave a lot of opportunity on the table. And this is something through our talks, this has come up quite a bit when I was like, I've got to get you on Creators and Coffee to talk about this. Because I think brands need to listen up, right? It is, the burden doesn't lie solely on the creator for successful partnerships. So why don't you share a couple of your tips that you have for brands when it comes to really maximizing those partnerships?
It's very high level. You just got to look at what are people searching? What do they need to be converted into purchasing your product, and like put yourself in their shoes. If you're purchasing a set of wheels or you're purchasing a set of lights or you're purchasing something for your vehicle, at the end of the day, you want to see it on your vehicle, and you want to be confident that if you're purchasing it, it's going to work on your vehicle. So, just understanding the psychology of, hey, you have to address those concerns, and the more evidence and examples that you provide that these things work on your vehicle and they're going to look good on your vehicle, the higher your conversion is going to be, and, frankly, a better chance for your success.
Give like a tactical tip. Like, what would that look like? If I'm a brand, let's say I had you create some content, you're at Monterey Car Week, you're there, you're getting lots of image vehicles, and there's a manufacturer there that's there. They've got their wheels on different cars, but they're not doing anything. Or you have that car, you have those wheels. What would be a tactical way outside of just partnering with you and you sharing that with your audience that a brand could use that content? Like, where would they put it?
Well, one of the smart things that I've seen in the past is if you know that you have vehicles attending an event and they already have your products, if you provide your quote unquote creator influencer with a list of said vehicles to look out for and they get you content for those vehicles, it adds the ability to gain collateral in addition to, just the footage and, the in the moment influencing quote unquote that you can do. So it just adds more value, beyond just the quick hit of the influencer making an initial video.
And if I'm that brand and that creator sends me that content, what do I do with it?
You got to know your product line, obviously. If you can recognize, like, oh, this is our product, this is the application. I mean, it's basic merchandising 101. You're, taking the collateral, maybe some slight edits if needed, if depending on the skill of your creator. But if you can find a home for it with the applicable products, it does add a lot of value.
And when you're saying that, you mean like literally on our website where we have our products, we have the imagery, add video right there.
One of my favorite examples is the Cavallino Classic in Monterey. Morimoto actually makes taillights for the Ferrari 355, 360, 430, Enzo, a bunch of other vehicles. And you don't see those every day. But if you go to an event like that, you're going to see a handful of them. And so it's an opportunity to take installed photos at the event and then, put that on your website so that other 360 owners or 430 owners can say, oh, it fits, and oh, it looks good. And, there you go.
And also an opportunity, it's interesting talking about that scenario and anywhere where someone's showing off their car, and they, let's say, have your lights installed, your taillights, asking that owner, why did they pick these taillights, right? Like, what was in it? And then you've also got user-generated testimonials that can either go on the website. Would you encourage, if a brand is doing email marketing to their database, maybe to past purchasers, or would you encourage them to use some of those videos or that video content to either house them somewhere on their website and or put them up on a YouTube page or somewhere where they could reshare that content with their own database?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's a pretty simple, I wouldn't say common sense approach, but if you're asking owners like, hey, what's your feedback on the product? Let's get an authentic, organic testimonial of the product from real users. And, if you have a segmented list of people that are looking for a particular product or something, and you send them a very organic, authentic testimonial, I think that's really powerful. I mean, people have been doing that for decades. It's not new. It's just, hey, you just got to remember to do it, even
Right.
though it seems very basic. It seems very, very basic, but I think that a lot of brands just forget to do it.
One thing I see when we think about different ways you can use content from the creators, I'm going to go back to another tactical because you made this brief comment on a conversation the other day. If you are asking a creator to share the raw assets with you or the videos or it's great that they're posting to their audience, but if you're asking for the rights to that or the ability to reuse it, even if it's a sourcing tag or something like that, and they give you this giant Google Drive folder. Any tactical tips to the brands and the creators of how to make that work better?
I sort of get it. I mean, I know that some creators are, they're very particular about, when they're asked for raw files. I just think that as a brand, like, that's something you put in your like influencer contract so that it's a set expectation. Frankly, don't see like, I know like wedding photographers get upset about that sometimes, but down the road, if you want to tweak the raw files yourself, like it's great to have them. I think that you can do a lot of that work up front just by setting expectations and then really understanding like the people on your end, like, hey, what are you going to do with this? Do you really need it? It could be an extra burden for creators. But again, like I see it both ways. There's value. I don't know how big of an ask that really is from my own experience. Like, I don't think it's a big deal, but if you ask a lot of creators, they will say, it's a lot of work. Like,
Well,
so it just, there's
yeah,
balance.
I think there's absolutely a balance. I think it's knowing the creator or what you're looking for, right? I think some
Hmm.
brands get overzealous and they said, oh, send me all this B-roll. They're never going to use any of that B-roll. You're never going to use it.
Yeah.
But one thing that you mentioned too, that I wanted to call back to that you said, because one of the things you're doing is you are having to go through a lot of assets that were brand owned assets. And, some might have been through creator partners, but as a brand and even as a creator, but thinking through, you may not go through those files in the moment. And there might be a lot of files in that folder for labeling. Ask for
Oh,
file taxonomy that is, what's the part? What's the vehicle? What's the date, right? And even if you can put a little smidge in that file name that gives some indicator, because whether it's Google Drive or even, Microsoft or Box or Dropbox, you can actually keyword search and it'll look at file names for keyword searching. So just pro tip, you don't want to be getting 1,000 files that are IMG underscore 1235, like that's not going to help you. So pro tip, if you are asking for B-roll, if you are asking for assets from your creators, ask for a file taxonomy when they do deliver you their files. And I like what you said too. Ask for only what you'll use. If you're not going to use a mountain of B-roll, don't ask for a mountain of B-roll. And I also like what you said, the creators know their craft. If there's certain particular shots you want, ask for that and ask for the creator to say, hey, of this content you gave me, maybe label 1, 2, 3 of your top 3 favorites that you think is the best we can use as a brand. And it can be one part name, vehicle, whatever, whatever was a part of that. Or if it was an event, put the event name in the file or save it in a folder with the event name. Because I think that when we're thinking tactical to your, you made the comment that I don't know why more brands wouldn't do it, whether it's the obvious, leveraging video content through email marketing or on your website through merchandising. I think a lot of it comes down to time, remembering to do it. You said it. So if I remember to do it,
hmm
but then it's a total pain in my ass because it's super manual and I can't find the files,
yeah.
probably not going to happen, right? I'm going to jump to the easy thing, which is, and hopefully all brands are doing this, resharing, at least reshare your creators' content on your pages, accept their collaborations. maximize that content. There's some brands that do it real smart is they'll give it a week and then they'll reshare it a week later. And it actually gives that content a little bit more of a second life, a second run, which I think is super smart of using the social. But follow Nick's advice, use it in more ways, use it in merchandising, use it in your email marketing, use it in your own campaigns. I think a lot of brands don't know you can actually also boost the creators' content and their post. It actually will get better engagement than your own native brand ads. And you can boost it, and you can actually do it though. You can boost it with your audience, your list. So it is a way to kind of use that first party data that you have as the brand, your customers, your bigger list, your audiences as well, but then take this unique content that these creators did and boost it over fully to your audience. Again, give it more life, give it another run. You were going to pay for Facebook ads anyways. You might as well use content that is going to engage better because it's from a creator who, is genuine, is authentic, and typically they're trusted more than the brand themselves. Any parting words if you're giving advice to brands on, creating smarter partnerships, maximizing those partnerships? Any parting words you'd leave a brand with?
I think that it comes down to knowing, where your deficits are. Understanding that, hey, if I have maybe products that aren't performing very well or as well as they should, then just really taking a look at, the merchandising of it. Where are your gaps? What are you missing that's going to help solve that like puzzle of, what do I need to do to make the customer confident enough that, they're going to buy it, or at least, add more value to the listing so that people are going to buy it. And, that's stuff that you can bake into these contracts. I don't think it's a crazy ask, to say to an influencer, like, hey, can you get me a couple stills? Like, hey, here's a shot list, or at least like the type of, images and angles that I'm looking for, something you can create a process for and just follow repeatedly and add a lot of value, without having to bring vehicles into a studio every day and take pictures every day.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of value
That's
there.
great. And I actually thought of one last question I have for you, especially because we are coming up. It's that time of year, coming up on
Mm.
conference season. We got the SEMA show coming up. We've got PRI coming up. And what are your thoughts on brands partnering with creators? A lot of manufacturers have a very big investment for those that do invest in having an exhibit, a booth at the SEMA show. It's a big investment. You're bringing teams, you're bringing product, you're bringing vehicles in some cases. Maybe you partner with someone on a build. What are your thoughts on brands partnering with creators to help create additional content from the SEMA show outside of just what your in-house team might do? And taking kind of the Hoonigans overarching out of it, they have in-house creators built in, but think of your average brand, right? That doesn't have, an army of badass content creators.
It's a huge show. There's only so much you can cover. And, it's our team does a very good job. I will say our team does a very good job of being organized and like, hey, what vehicles are going to be there? Where are they going to be? Here's the map where all they're located. They go get, some B-roll. They put really nice videos together over the years. Morimoto's done a great job of that. We're very organized. But during the actual event, that's where I think you can reach a lot more audiences by working with creators, having them, capture content and reach people that maybe they're not specifically following
Yeah.
your brand, an audience that you want, but you don't have. And it just is an opportunity to expand your exposure. And frankly, like that's one of the biggest values that SEMA provides at this point is the influencer and content creator side does add a lot of opportunity to reach other audiences beyond just like your typical engagement on Google ads or
Yeah.
newsletters and such. Like it's such a unique opportunity to reach new
Yeah.
audiences. So you just got to be aware of those opportunities and which influencers or creators are going to be able to deliver on those
Yeah.
promises.
Yeah. And that's a great point. You mentioned this. So this is a plug to SEMA, their partnership with the Drive Shop, where they're bringing 100 creators to the show, that will be there. And then there's also probably another 100 that come of their own accord. And, so it is there are opportunities. Read your emails, read the SEMA bulletins. There's opportunities to get some of those creators to come over. We at Autofluencer, we're going to be doing some pushes and some announcements that we're going to help brands too. If you're trying to find a creator, if you're trying to hook up, if it's one of the Drive Shop creators, we'll make sure you can get in touch with the right people there to find who you want. If it's somebody else, we'll help make those connections. But I think that is so important. It's a great way to maximize opportunity if you're not as organized as the Morimoto team. I mean, you guys are like next level. You're like setting the bar, like this is how it's done.
They're very organized and just very talented. Just from a creation standpoint, just very, very talented
Well,
people.
and I think,
A very
yeah,
good
I think we're
gift.
seeing too, we're getting on that time where 5 years ago, you could do email marketing. You could still do your catalog. I still talk to people. They still do catalogs. You can still sling them catalogs, kill them trees and sling them catalogs. That's fine. You do that. Maybe we get a little ecom. Maybe we do a little PPC. We're doing a little bit of those things. But I can tell you right now, we're seeing it set in the broader industries now and moving forward. The brands that are going to take it to that next level and continue to grow and find new audiences. The millennial generation is the highest discretionary income generation ever known, right? They are the biggest spenders. Someone made a comment to me the other day. Well, but millennials don't spend any money. I'm like, that is from like 10 years ago when they were like 22. They are the biggest generation, the biggest spenders, and millennial and Gen Z. And the name of the game has changed. They aren't using catalogs. So you can still sell to your current demographic, but I'm telling you right now, over the next 5 years, if you want to be relevant, looking at the hat tip to the Morimotos of the world and the brands that are really getting it, they will be, they'll be the ones crushing it. They'll be the ones posting up year over year growth, and which then enables you as the brand to continue to innovate with new product and stay out in front because you're listening, those generations. And there's a lot of gold there in that content with those partnerships. So
When I started my career, catalogs are still very much a thing. And frankly, I still think that I do think there's a lot of value in catalogs. I think that, it's easy for my generation and the generations that passed to like kind of scoff at like, hey, brick and mortar in person. But there's still a lot of people that do that. And one of my favorite examples is like the Corvette market. The Corvette market is like such an easy example of like, you have a huge portion of that market that is the older generation that they still prefer to buy things in person. They go to events, they purchase stuff on the spot. They do look for catalogs. If you don't do those things, you completely miss all of that. And then, of course, it's low hanging fruit to say, well, influencers and online everyone should be online, obviously, but there's still value in the old ways of doing
Well,
certain
I'll say
things.
I'm not against brick and mortar, and I think to your point, there are use cases. I think brick and mortar, you're seeing a bit of a resurgence. I think we got into a habit though where there was too much brick and mortar. There's an interesting thing, totally off topic. What's happening? We saw here, our Starbucks shut down, and we were like, wait, what? And
Ooh.
it's renovating. And what they've
Mm.
learned, a lot of people listening to this, and I know it's different. There's a little bit of a parallel there, but they had too many of them. There's too many Starbuckses. They're cannibalizing each other. And they saw that the phenomenon is they still want brick and mortar. Obviously, you can't get your Starbucks delivered, but they want a drive-through experience. And they don't want to enable as much the coffee shop hangout vibe as much anymore. And they want the drive-through. There's a place here. I don't know if you guys don't
Mm.
have them. It's called Dutch Brothers. It's a very much. Oh, you do?
Yeah, we have Dutch.
It's like a
Yeah, I
West
think we have
Coast.
those. Yeah, pretty
This
sure.
place,
I've
seen anything
seen
like
them.
it's like a zoo. It's fascinating, but it
Oh.
is. I do think
Mm.
there's a place for absolutely brick and mortar. To your point around use cases, but I do believe the brands that don't embrace content and maximize and leverage content over the next 5 years will be left behind. I think you've got to learn how to amplify content. You've got to learn to merchandise. You've got to learn to show, even if it's
Hmm.
that Corvette buyer, people are getting more and more customized to be able to see things every which way from Sunday. I can see a dress on any body type. I can see what these wheels look like on any type of car. Is it my car? Is it my particular trim level of the Corvette? How does it look? What does it feel like?
Hmm.
So I think there's a ton of value there. So Nick, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You are awesome. And have fun in Monterey. By the time this airs, you will be back from it, and we will all have seen all the amazing pictures. And we will see you at SEMA.
Absolutely. I will see ya. Thank you for having me, and good luck growing the Autofluencer. And for everyone attending SEMA, definitely worth talking to Erica and understanding how the platform can
Oh, you're so
benefit your
sweet.
company.
Thank you so much, Nick. Bye.